I'm Navneet here to welcome our proud alumnus, Mr. Uday Shankar, and introduce him. Did you all know that Uday is only Indian recipient of Young Achiever Award 2020? Uday has done his B instrumentation from PSG Tech Coimbatore and specialized in robotics from the University of South Australia. Thereon pursued engineering design from the University of Hull. During his college days, he has won rupees 14 lakhs only as prizes and holds to his credit numerous national awards, some being from National Instruments, Texas Instruments, Adicent, Accenture, and Yahoo. During his tenure abroad, he had completed three projects and received a letter of appreciation for the same. Uday has been featured multiple times in print and mass media. His passion for teaching and skill of innovation led him to the path to making children future ready. He founded Do It Yourself Academy, that is DIYA, a maverick aimed at offering a comprehensive laboratory experience to learn, understand, and implement concepts for students to develop expertise in robotics, 3D printing, industrial automation, artificial intelligence, and Internet of Things. Uday is part of BNI Infinity Chennai branch, which has transformed him into the compassionate business leader he is today. DIA, that is Do It Yourself Academy, Academy's Women's Entrepreneurship Initiative, has been awarded the most promising business for women. DIA has received Best Futuristic Education Company Awards and Excellence in Robotics Education Award. Uday is an engineer by profession, educator by heart, and an entrepreneur driven by passion. His ambition is to build a global education enterprise focused on making students future ready. Uday Shankar, I welcome you once again, and over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Yeah. So before I start off, I'm sure all of you are here just to understand it is to be a business owner, or why should you start a business? How should you take a business, and so many questions. So before we go to all that, so we have almost 50 plus people in the room today. So I just want to ask, out of this 50, I'm sure not everyone wants to start your own business. Some of you might want to pursue your higher education. Some might want to go for, say, a job, or some might, in some cases, start a business, or some might even pursue. All of us have different in our life, no doubts there. But at some point, what happens is all of us have this urge to start something on our own. Say something which you feel you can create an impact. So, in the chat, I'd like you to just let me know how many of you really want to start a business right away, or say after 5 years. So, those who want to start right away or after 5 years, type I in the chat box. Thank you, Rohit. Five, seven, and we proceed. 10, 9, 8, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Now, out of 53, want to start a business. Why are the rest of you here? So, out of 53, or almost 60 people, only 7 people want to start their own business, maybe now or later. So, what is it that has made the rest of you to come here? Is it because you want to understand what I do as a business? Is it because you want to see, can I think of doing business? Or what are the 7 people or 8 people who want to start their own business going to do? So, what is the purpose of you attending the session today? So, 1 or 2 words you can leave in the chat box. Come on, guys, fast. You don't have all day. Purpose of you attending the session today. And I do understand there's a very good chance that many of you just attend this session, put your mic and video off, and you might be watching TV as well. Stand that there is also a possibility. So those who are really here, let's look at it. Okay, so Harish and Tarun, my question is to the people who have not said I. So why are rest of you Is it because it is in your timetable, in your schedule, you have to be here, so you are here? Is that the case? Maunam Samadam, that's what you got across to me. So if you cannot participate, it is boring. This is going to be just another video recording which you're going to watch. That's not what I want to happen. I would just like to share few small things which I learned on the way, which I look as a future and all that. So something, if some idea if I can give you, if it can be helpful to you in some way, I'll be happy. That is all I look for from. Okay, thanks, Jokesh. You want to learn something new. Okay, right. Now, you knew that this session is going to happen at least 2 or 3 days before. Let's say you know this session is going to happen by Friday evening, and you know that I am going to be the speaker. If you know that, please say yes in the chat box. If you knew that this session was going to happen and I'm going to be the speaker by Friday evening, or let's say even by Saturday evening, type yes in the chat box. Guys, I want you to be fast, please. Okay. How many of you had breakfast this morning? If yes, type yes in the chat box. So, thank you so much. So, ICE in 2014. So, from 2010 to 2014, PSC, excellent faculty support, lots of love. Everywhere we go, support department gives us full time for me. So when we came out of college, like everybody else, three options in front. First one would be to pursue masters. So I had options from a couple of universities. Second, so since I had won a couple of contests, I had some open offers from Accenture and a couple of companies more. And third was to pursue my own business. So in college itself, so I had the privilege of being part of the semester abroad program, which our college had a partnership with University of South Australia. Radiance for me. So 6 months we were in Australia, just the five of us from our college. So our had to cook, keep the house, maintain our house accounts, contribute together, then buy the groceries, cook, sweep, wash, everything. So literally 6 months and a wonderful experience altogether. So, but one more thing during those 6 months was this organization called as Try Stem Cell. So the actual organization is called Stem Cell, Science, Technology, Engineering, Mathematics, Social, Enterprise. I was in University of South Australia as a student, and meanwhile I was also supporting this non-profit organization. So what this organization did was they combined students whom we call as aboriginals, like tribals in Australia, with regular white people. Okay, so I'm getting feedback that the voice is feeble. Something else. So I always have a backup. So I have the habit of logging from two systems, just in case one doesn't go well. So yes. So this particular organization called Try Stem Cell, so they were focused on putting the community together with robotics. So they put a group of Aboriginal children with native white children, and they were as one team. And these children together were building multiple projects. So these projects were based on STEM, as whatever you would call it. Okay. So now, when I was wandering with them, I saw that there is an opportunity for that if something like that could be done in India. So though I didn't have a commercial angle to it, I had a social angle to it. So when we came back, so a bunch of my classmates and our juniors, almost 20 of my juniors had volunteered. It was really great. And what we did, so I used to teach them that Australian tools for free. And in turn, the team had to teach for free to government schools or children who couldn't afford it. So that started as a non-profit organization, which we called as Stride, the Reformer Renew, which still continues to serve the underprivileged community. This continued for about 6 months, and in the span of 6 months, we had a national level contest. So where these children were to present and compete against schools that were charging north of 2 lakhs as a fee. So naturally, these children, they can't speak English. They haven't seen a laptop in their life. And they don't know what is coding. If they go on stage, they'll start shivering like they have viral fever. And if someone asks them a question, they'll forget they can speak. That is the kind of children you're going to be working with. So literally, when we went on stage, so the kids were holding my hand and they were trying to talk. They presented the project, they showed a complete demonstration, and finally, they won against children at a national level at IIT Madras. They got the first place, and they were people who never touched or made a robot, or even a robot. They had never used a computer in their life till that point of time. So, two lessons here is, first, if you see something, try to understand if you can take that something, add some value to it, apply it, and use it somewhere else. Second, if you feel no one can do it, don't think you cannot do it, think you should do it. So only when you do something which nobody else can, people will find value in what you do. You get to be successful. So if you're going to do everything or something which everybody is already doing, so what is your uniqueness? Why should people come to you? So this community evolved, and these children, they got featured in Hindu. So imagine for an orphan to be featured on the second page of the Hindu, something really great. And some children, they even got scholarships to their college by showing this particular press release. And me, I was featured on the cover page of the magazine in my college in Australia, University of South Australia, saying that an exchange student has done so and so. The dean had sent an appreciation mail saying that, Uday, great job. And the company that had sponsored us, the Australian company, the Stem Cell Foundation. So the CTO and the CEO came in touch, and till date, they're working with us. So when you do something really special, the whole world will come, stand by you and support you. All right. So this just that your dream, your cause has to be bigger than yourself, something which everyone else can resonate to it. It should be something which they can say, I am proud to do this. Right. So only then you'll have the confidence of saying that, yes, I am part of this. So unless that happens, nobody will come and back you. So without the backing, we cannot sustain, we cannot survive, we cannot grow. So always identify a cause that is bigger than yourself, a cause that is something many can resonate to it, understand, accept, and would love to be part of. Next step. Now is the time when it came to saying, should I choose masters? Should I choose a job? Should I get started into business? So then, if I were to choose a job, or if I were to do my masters, then the foundation that I started would be lost. So if the car is on the road without the driver, it will crash. And that driver is the founder. Now, many a time you have said people, I'll do my job and I will parallelly run my own business. It is like saying that I'll have a driverless car on remote control. It's stupidity. Though it sounds good on paper, it is not practical. So you might think it is possible and all that, but it is not feasible. Many a time you'll end up losing balance. You'll neither do your job properly or not do your business properly. You will mess up both. So never try to do two things at once. It is like the Onion movie where on his bike he'll get caught. Rowdies will hold him on both sides. He'll go and bang into a lamppost. That is what will happen to you if you try to do two things at once. If you want to do a job, save money, build the base, be decisive of what you're going to do as a business, get the groundwork ready, and then quit your job with savings of at least 6 months. Aside from what you need to run your business for 6 months. So the main reason which many people think of before they start their own job is, I have a family to support. So if your family is going to suffer because you're going to do business, that's not going to be a good thing, right? So you need to make sure that your family is getting all the essentials, all the basic requirements taken care of, and it'll take a minimum of 6 months for business to settle down. See, because when you go into business, you expect something, but something else would happen. So this is where we call as
a sphere of influence, and a sphere of concern. Can you type that out for me? Sphere of influence and sphere of concern. Sphere of influence and sphere of concern. Okay. Now, the difference between both. Sphere of concern is, for example, Corona. Now, COVID-19 has happened. It is my concern, definitely. Is there anything that I can do to stop what has happened? Is there anything that I can do to change what has happened? So this is something that is beyond my control. So COVID-19 is beyond my control, beyond anything I can do. It has happened. So I have no power over it. I have to accept what has happened. I need to plan. I need to move. That is your sphere of concern. Next is your sphere of influence. Now, COVID-19 has happened. Now, what is it in my power that I can do to make sure that even in this time, I'm staying afloat? That is your sphere of influence. Things that you can control, things that you can influence, things that you can change is called your sphere of influence. Okay. Now, my concern is that COVID has happened. If I just sit in my office and I go to my table and I say, oh my God, COVID has happened, no business. Oh my God, COVID has happened, no business. Is there anything I can do? Nothing, right? So just because I sit, I weep, or I keep ramping or talking about it on and on, nothing in my life is going to change, nor can I do anything to change what has happened, right? Second, in terms of sphere of influence, any small thing I do can change my life in a big way. Step one, can I make myself to be positive? Can I make myself to think, what can I do during this lockdown? Can I make myself to think, what can I do during this lockdown that can help me get business or do business? So what is it that people will pay for during this lockdown? How do I get these people who will pay during the lockdown? So what is the outcome I'm going to give the people who are going to pay during the lockdown? So why should somebody pay during lockdown? Is it something so important that they will let go of their savings for me? So these are the things which I can influence, I can control. So I can deliver a blockbuster online coding class with international certification that will help the child secure and perform well in job, in career, in whatever they do, and ensure that the child is a better communicator, a better thinker, more creative, improves communication skills, and becomes a collaborative person. So that is something parents would pay for. So that is something which I can influence, I can make it happen. I can build an online coding school that is within my influence. I did that. So with whatever power, people, and knowledge I had, we built a wonderful team. So now we started delivering online coding classes. So if you ask me, I would say that Diya will grow by at least 200% before March 21. So Diya is my company, do it yourself company. So what we basically do is in Do It Yourself Academy, we focus on making children future ready. So we focus on getting the right technology and allied skills so they can become a successful professional. So in this time, we built an online coding school. We started remodeling our franchise. We started bringing a lot of people on board. And until lockdown, that is, rather say, I would say until January 19, 2020, we were present only in Chennai. And then we used to do some short-term workshops in other parts of India. After Jan 20, 2020, we decided, why should we be only in Chennai? Why don't we expand? So after that, we put up branches in Coimbatore, Bangalore, Pune, Jaipur, Ajmer, Bilaspur, Amritsar, Delhi. Like that, we expanded to almost 8 cities in less than 45 days. So I used to travel 6 or 7 days a week. So after 6 or 7 days, I used to come home for just one day, take a new set of clothes, travel same night to a different city. So instead of client meetings, I was fixing up meetings with mom. That was the kind of running around I was doing. So that was the pace in which the business was moving ahead from January. So when March, all of a sudden, everything came to a stop. So all the orders I had till March, everybody said no, it's not going to happen. So whatever effort we had put for almost 1 year was totally gone. Gone. That's it. It's not going to happen. It cannot happen. So if I just sit down and worry about what has happened and not do what I'm supposed to do as a business owner, think straight, think ahead, see what is within my power, work on my sphere of influence. So then what I did, we built this curriculum. We built a partnership with NCC, National Computer Council in UK, and we offered UK certified coding classes. So now we are present in Dubai, Australia, Malaysia, Qatar, Oman, Singapore, UK, and India, of course. So when I decided that I should not worry about what has happened and focus on what my strength is and what I can do. So now sitting at home, sitting in office, I'm able to grow the business to the next level. This is all about what you accept. So step one, when something happens, accept that it has happened. Don't go and say, why did this happen to me? What is meant to happen will happen. Maybe your mistake or somebody's mistake, but what has happened cannot be changed. What can be changed is how you respond to it. So never react to a situation, respond to a situation. So when you respond, things will turn around, and it might turn around in a way you might not even expect. And for me, if I were to say, give an option rather, leave alone all the losses, but in terms of leave personal apart, if I look at it as a business decision, if it were not for COVID, what would have happened? If because of COVID, what has happened? If I were to choose between no COVID and COVID, I will choose COVID. Because as a business, we are growing. So even in this time, we are able to look at different ways in which we can move ahead and we can reach out to our customers and build a global network, a global community. Think about it. Think about it for 2 minutes. And in the chat box, put 1 or 2 words which you would like to take away as a learning until this point. Thank you, Muthu. Right. So though people say be positive, think positive, it is very, very easy to say. When things are going against you, being positive is the toughest thing to do. And when you are in things which you can never think of, which you never imagine would happen to you, at that point, being positive is very, very important. Right, Ramaj? It's about never stepping back. So once you are in, you cannot come out. The only way out of it is going to be through it. So you have to accept, move on, and work towards what is going to be the better thing that is going to happen to you. So that being said, so once you decide how you're going to go ahead, meanwhile, before I share the next thing, I'll be talking for a while. Since there's a lag, I'll ask you this question. You can keep answering. So in the meantime, I will share something else with you. Is a farmer a business owner or not? Would you call a farmer as an entrepreneur? Yes or no? You can answer to that, and I will continue with sharing what I wanted to share. All right. So next phase. So when I first started my business, so we all go with a perception that this particular product the market would take. Okay. Now say for example, if this bottle that is there, I'll go saying that, okay, this bottle looks good. I can see how much water is there in this bottle. It looks classy. Price is okay. I can call it as a German brand, and I can give it to the market. Okay. Now, this is my perception. I go to the market to sell this bottle. But when I go to the market, I will say, ஏம்பா இந்த பாட்டில் நான் இவ்வளோ காசு கொடுத்து வாங்கணும், 10 ரூபாய் கொடுத்தா காசு பாட்டில் வரப்போகுது, அதுவும் 6 லிட்டர் பாட்டில், 10 ரூபாய் நான் 1 லிட்டர் பாட்டில் வாங்கிட்டு போயிடுவேன். இந்த அடியில வெயிலுக்கு 6 லிட்டர் என்னத்துக்கு பத்தும் எனக்கு? இன்னும் ஜெர்மனில என்ன தனியாக குடிக்க போறேன், உள்ள என்ன பொக்கிஷமா இருக்கு? That is a kind of feedback you will get from the market. Okay. So here there are two things which you have to look at. First, am I selling to the right customer? I should go to customers who sit in AC, who drive a premium car, who won't be thirsty all through the day, who worry about being classy. That one. I should look at the right customer that I'm going to target. Option two. If I'm going to target the market which is looking at a 10 rupee water bottle as a competition to mine, I should also make sure that I make either a 15 or a 20 rupee bottle that has more premium features, or I should be just one among the lot and suffer in the competition with the price war. So these are the two options you get to have as a business owner if you're stuck in the market with a product you're not sure of. So always be open to modifying and improving the product consistently so that you don't get stuck at any point of time. All right. So meanwhile, what we did, so when we went to the market with the product, so we thought this, that, and all this, and we gave our own line of features and products. But what the expectation of the market was completely different. So even to this point, which is almost 7 years today. So I graduated in 2014. Now it is 2020. So I started towards the tail end of my third year as a freelance trainer and all that. So it's been almost 7+ years since I started. So even till date, I will not say that my product has been finalized. So the growth in your product or the modification will be constantly changing. So all the more because the trend, the technology, and the expectation of the market will keep on changing. So you need to be able to accept and evolve, and more importantly, stay in touch with the market. Try to understand what people want. Give the people what they want and not what you want to give them. So your customer is your boss. You are not the boss of your customer. Keep that in mind and design, make, sell, price, strategize everything in that particular manner. So everything right from your languaging, your social media, everything has to be in that particular direction. So unless that happens, your product is not going to sell in the market. Always keep evolving, keep looking at what is happening across the world. Keep an eye on your competitors, what are they doing new. See, because when I go sell this water bottle, they're going to say is this bottle is so much, this bottle is so much, same features. So unless you know who is your competition, what people are talking about, you cannot go out in the market and sustain. Now, coming back to my question, are farmers business owners or not? Okay. Now, as a farmer, step one, I need to acquire my own piece of land to do the farming. In the business sense, I need an office. Second, the farmer needs seeds, fertilizers, manure, all the raw materials. Here, the business owner, he needs everything similar. He needs his own product line, his manufacturing setup, and all that. Third, now the farmer needs a team, and this particular team to make sure his plantation is done, the daily manuring or watering, and all that is being done. Similarly, the business owner also needs a team to run the company, to take the product to the market, and to execute the services. So next, once the crop has grown, it has to be yielded and sold to the market. Once product is ready, the business owner has to go to market, sell it, and make his money. Last, the farmer makes his money after all his expenses, giving to the loans, the landowners, his employees, raw material cost, and all that. Same here. Employee salaries, office expenses, loans, EMIs, and all that. So literally, there's a huge correlation between a farmer and a businessman. Right? Now, do you think being a farmer is easy? If you see every day, so many movies are now coming up upon how farmers are committing suicides, how farming is becoming a problem, and how farming is not becoming viable anymore for people, and why people are going to move from farming to an urban area to go for jobs. There have been cases when farmers became watchmen. There have been cases when farmers gave up farming, they came to urban areas and became coolies, loadmen, tempo drivers, whatnot. So they gave up their business to come take up a job in some other place. Now, why am I saying this? So we all might think calling yourself a CEO, a business owner might be classy, might be awesome, you're doing something big, but you'll have to go through ton loads of pressure, things you might even not imagine of. You're responsible not only for your life, but for the life of so many people under you. And people will think if I am the boss, I don't have to answer to anybody. You'll be answering to more people than you know. Your banks, your office spaces, your customers, your employees, people taking the funds from, you'll actually end up answering to more people than you can imagine. And second, the common notion which people think is once I'm a boss, I can take a leave whenever I want, I can do whatever I want at whatever my time. No. On average, if I'm having a good day, mind it, if I'm having a good day, I work from 7:30 in the morning till 12 or 12:30, not afternoon, in the night. Okay? 7:30 to 12:30 are my working hours. If the work is higher, I work from 5:30 or 6 till 12, 12:30 in the night. If it is still bad, I work from 5:30 till 2:30 or 3 in the midnight. There are some days I get to sleep only for 2 hours or 3 hours. And if I'm lucky, I get to sleep a couple of hours more. So if you want to get into business thinking that it's going to be fancy, it's going to be awesome, it's going to be great, no. Come into business only if you're going to have the passion for it, if you believe that the cause and purpose is bigger than yourself. See, I know many business owners have struggled their life for 7 years, 10 years, and even 15 years in some cases, and they just gave up on the business and went looking for jobs. I know business owners who have even attempted suicide, who have contemplated suicide, who have lost everything they had. They're on the road with nothing. Nothing. They didn't have enough money to even feed their family. That can happen. Okay? If you're willing to go through all the pain, which might be huge, extensive, both mentally and physically, if you are prepared for this, if you really want to do this, if you believe what you're going to do is going to change the life of 1 million people, if you think you can do anything for this cause is bigger than your life, and only then get into business. Of course, if you have a rich background, you have a lot of money, that's a different ball game altogether. But if you're doing this out of passion, out of pure thought that yes, I dream big, I want to do it, think, plan, and act carefully. Don't get into it just because it sounds cool. A lot of planning is required. Make a plan, talk to a couple of people, understand the viability. Some people might not see what you're saying. In some cases, it can be both. See, talking to people is a good validation also. One, they're saying it is good. And two, they say it is bad. It means that you're focusing on the wrong target market or you're focusing on the wrong people. And the market is yet to understand what is required. So when 7 years back I said AI was not a hype, but today even a small kid, third standard, fourth standard, is saying that AI. So when I tell what is in the brain of a robot, they're telling me AI. So AI was a word that was not known or not so famous about 7 years back. So sometimes your product might take the time to make sure that the market is ready to accept what you have. Are you willing to sustain and survive for that much time without giving up? Are you willing to go through all the pain for your passion and something that you believe in? So unless you're mentally strong, unless you're prepared to face the challenges, do not get into business. So normally, I'm sure you imagined to expect a motivation talk, but the first step towards entrepreneurship is demotivation. If I can demotivate you successfully, you're unfit to take a business. If even after all the motivation, you think of doing business, congratulations, you are now over the first step. So we had about 7 or 8 people who initially said, I want to become a business owner. Now, can those 7 or 8 again say, I want to start? I want to hear from you. One, two, three, four, five, six. I think we're running short of 1 or 2. Yep, 7. Perfect. Okay. Now, others, those who feel, Kandira business panna maten, you can also say yes. See, many a reason why I try to say this is because people get into stuff without knowing what they're getting into, and then they suffer. I don't want that. I want you to make a conscious choice of what you're going to do. So when you're going in there, go with expectation. Now, for example, if I just push you into a room, you don't know what is inside the room, what will be your reaction. But if you're going into a room by choice, you're knowing what you're going to expect, you will go mentally prepared for it. So when you go mentally prepared, you won half the game. It is all about your mindset. When your mindset is strong, you can get things done. Okay. So now I'll come to the most important part, that is the tips of or ideas of how you can grow as a business owner. So I'll talk till about 11:50, and then I leave about 10 minutes for you to ask doubts, and then we conclude at 12 p.m. All right. So first, I'll tell you this through a story. Now, so it was almost 3.5, 4 years into business. So we had a couple of centers, couple of school clients in Chennai. So we were sponsoring a lot of events to make sure we had our outreach happening. People recognized our brand. So one such event was inside a mall. It was called the Grand Square Mall. It's in Velachery, Chennai. So I was one of the sponsors for the event. So as a sponsor, we get to give away the prizes, address the audience, and all that. Reason being, one, it is really small. Second, unlike other malls, it is inside a residential area. Third, children cannot get lost inside that mall. People have taken it as a neighborhood mall. And the entrance, the car can drive through the entrance, which is very, very rare in other malls. So when I went to that mall, that was the first time I went to the mall. So I got an idea. So far, I've had centers in schools, in outside after school centers, but never have I had a center in a commercial space. So I went back in the mall itself, and I was just having something to drink, and I was just searching. Has someone ever built an education center inside a mall? So nobody in the world had built a proper education space inside a mall. So then I decided, why don't we open a center inside the mall? Something first of its kind. Let's give it a try. Now for that to happen, on average, a mall shop, say about even 1,000 square feet, would cost us anywhere between 5 to 7 lakhs a month as a rental, and 10 months advance would make it almost another 50 to 70 lakhs. And the construction setup another 50 to 70 lakhs. So all put together, your expense would be almost 1.5 to 2 crores to start one center inside a mall. Now, there is expenses involved. Will the mall owner give you the chance and the space to run the show? Is the question. Okay. Now, to get this done, you have to follow a multi-step process. Step 1. Who is the decision maker? Who is that one person whom you can convince? Who can convince the rest of the board of the mall to give you the space so you can do the show? Was the question I asked. Okay. Now, when you want things to be done, you ask the questions and let people to answer, because two, one, you clearly understand what they have in their mind, and two, are they interested or not? And then he shared, I have a passion, I have a vision for making a kids exclusive space in the mall and all that. And immediately the next day, he sent his own operations director to my place outside. He saw what we do, and he saw that children were able to enjoy, experience, and they loved robotics. And he gave me a space of almost 2,000 square feet. 2,000 square feet. And the average rental inside a mall is at least 300 rupees per square feet. All right. So do the math. I'm sure you're good at it. That was the kind of space. He gave it to me, and he gave me 6 months of time to complete the project. And all said and done, we worked together, and there was some financial support also he did, which I'll have to not disclose too much about. So in a span of almost 1.5 years, We built Get Unschooled, India's first mall-based experiential learning center where children came and they experienced different technologies in a hands-on way, and it became the first of its kind inside a mall, and that too on the most premium floor of a mall, and the best of its kind because we had children flocking for multiple events, parents and children. So we had an amazing experience. So one, look for opportunities. Once you have an idea, look at who is the right person, who is the right person to reach the right person. That is called as leverage. Next, reference. That make sure whom you're going to have to refer to you is giving you good reference about you. Reference is very important. Next is going to be towards sharing the idea and having the customer to buy in. So unless Mr. Zaruk is convinced of what I do and about Uday as a person, he is not going to do that with me. So people don't buy products, people buy people. People buy you for your honesty, for who you are. Can they trust you? Are you a good person to work with? This is what people look for. Have the customer buy in. Next is upkeep. Just because you have a reference doesn't mean they'll trust you forever. If you mess up, you'll mess up the trust of the other person too. So make sure you maintain the trust, the reference past, and ensure that you deliver more than it is promised. Next, be honest, truthful, whatever it is. It's better to make 1 lakh for 100 months than making 1 crore in 1 month and just leaving it. Always look at a long-term plan, a long-term goal, have a long-term vision. Unless the customer benefits from what you do, your product and your company will not sustain. So always begin with the customer in mind, with the product in mind, and ensure you deliver best time and again. Wishing you all the best, and I sincerely hope that those who are interested will pursue entrepreneurship. Those who are not interested, I'm sure you'll find the courage at some point of time to get started. And please, whenever you start, keep all this in mind. I'm sure it will be helpful in some walk of life or other. Thank you so much. Over to Arun, sir.
I think you have given some time for them to ask questions, no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we'll wait. We'll wait.
Just go to any chart accountant, go with what you have in mind. They'll advise what is the right sort of company you need to start, proprietary, partnership, LLP, private limited. So we'll advise what you're going to start with, and then you can start. So my advice here, if you're going for a partnership, be very, very clear with your partner as to what you're going to do, what he is going to do. Have some metrics to monitor the performance of each of you. Sit with the chart accountant. Say, for example, a technology person should get 30%. The person who's investing the money should get 20%. The person who's driving the sales should get 25%. The person who's doing the operations and management should get 25%. So divide that, and let's say one person is doing 3 things, they should get 75%, and one person is doing only one thing, they should get 25%. So make sure you're clear in this, because into that you're going to start a company, say, okay, order panikla, you end up messing it up big time. You'll end up losing your friend also. So always go to a CA and get things done. Don't go to some random person. Go to a right and good chart accountant who will support you. A person who is all the more specific and specialized in starting a company is someone whom we call as a company secretary. CS and not CA, company secretary. Team is very, very important. If you're alone, you can't do anything, but together, anything is possible. So start building your team. Yeah, whatever, they can guide you. So no matter what you start, it has to be incorporated with the government. So what incorporation process, they'll guide you. And I would recommend you start taking, small internships. And always, if you're going to become a business owner, start with sales. If you're a salesman, you'll face the maximum rejections. You have maximum learnings. It'll make you stronger. So getting into sales is the best way to learn about business. Please, if any of you want to ask a question, you want to switch on your audio, video, then please feel free. So they can't maybe get you everything, but they can get you the right people who can get you all those. So normally how the CAs work is there are a bunch of associates. They'll have like one person for everything. So if you go to them, there'll be a one-stop solution. But be very careful, go to the right person. A wrong person might do you more bad than good. So these are things I can help you. Let's say you want a chartered accountant. Just drop me a mail. I'll connect you with the right chartered accountant. I'll connect you with my own chartered accountant. They can help you and help you further. All that small things I can do for you. What business is, all your money is on the paper. You don't really have cash or hard cash. Let's say if I'm employed, I'm sure every month, so and so date, I have this much money in the bank. But as a business owner, you're going to have only money on paper. Imaginary money, that is what I call it. It might come to you, might not come to you. People play on valuation. Say, for example, if a company is worth 5 crores and all of a sudden something happens and immediately can go to zero. So, though my company value is 5 crores, I had loan of only 1 crore, which actually means that I'm in a profit of 4 crores. But if something happens, if my sale drops or something goes wrong with the product, from 5 crores, my valuation will become zero. But my 1 crore of loan, which is real, that will stay. So please be very, very careful when you play the valuation game. For being a businessman, is there any certification or registration to be done initially? Anybody can do business. There are so many people that are doing registering. Say, for example, a real estate agent, a beautician. So these are people who are doing business at a small level. They don't need registration, but a certification would add value. But not for a certificate of being a business owner, certification of being a professional. For example, if I have a beautician who says, I have done certification from Lakme and I have experience of grooming almost 700 brides versus someone I know basic makeup, I definitely choose the expert. So as a business owner, you need certifications and proof for what you are an expert in. Whether you have your own company or not, people look at secondary. You can always take money in your personal account and pay the IT. Anyone can do business, yes. So even your Pani Puri wala is a business. And last I checked, he has no certificate. For that matter, I don't even know if he has his birth certificate. One of the biggest things I've seen business owners, even in myself, to some extent I would say, is that we tend to see that நானே எல்லாம் பண்றேன், நானே எல்லாம் பார்த்துக்குவேன், என்ன எல்லாம் பண்ண முடியும். See, though initially that might be the reason because you might have the funds to recruit people. As and when you grow, try to delegate. You cannot do everything. Unless you build a team and you let your team to run the business, you will become the bottleneck in the business. So never be in the mindset, I want to do everything, I want to be perfect and all that. Guide your team on what is being expected and the team will deliver. Trust your people. They will do the job and always take care. So they are first people and then your employees. So have that humanity and that human factor first before being a boss. People will love you for who you are and not what you pay them for. Very important. Any last questions? So there are two types of mentorship. First, there is free, then there is paid. So in free mentorship, people give you gyan because they want to make money from a later point. For example, if you go to a business coach, they'll say, come on, start the business. You can do this, you can do that. Because after start a business, you can't go back. We'll go back to him asking for idea. And the time he'll say, give me 30,000 for digital marketing, give me 20,000 for helping you with sales. That is one kind. Second type, a lot of people who provide guidance before you start a business, they charge some paid sessions, like it might run even to 5,000 per session. But these are people who will actually sit with you, give their time, listen to your business, tell you what is right, what is wrong, talk to you as a person, understand what your strengths and weaknesses are. Again, if you're having shortcomings, they will tell you this might not suit you, build a team and come back. So these are people who will genuinely tell you on your face what is right, what is wrong. Do not always go with the mindset of free. There is nothing called free in this world. If anybody is going to give you anything for free, something big is waiting for you on the behind. Never go for free. If they're paying you or asking you for money upfront, say 5,000 or 10,000, you can trust them because they are clear what they're giving you and what they're offering you. So people who are charging you upfront are actually honest and you can trust them and get things done with them. So always go for paid mentoring sessions. Don't take yarn. No, you need something personal one-to-one kind of a session before you start something. Always choose the right people. So again, that if you need help, drop me a mail. I'll put you on the right person. So start going to a lot of networks and associations. Like I was part of BNI. I've been BNI for almost 5 years. So I would say that there are people who are almost having 25, 30 years of experience in their own core field. And that is almost my age. So when you have people with such huge experience in the same community, you get to learn from them. See, none of us are given a business 101. Even if you do an MBA, it's not a practical thing. It's just still on theory, concepts, strategies. But you never really gone to the customer and spoken to him that particular strategy. You don't have a live experience. So when you are part of a forum or a network, you get to understand things firsthand. Be practical. And only then you can get things done. And more importantly, if you want to do a business, you need to be talking non-stop. So my mom tells me, "Hey, நல்ல வாழ்டா வாய் வந்து ஸ்கின் தோலா இருக்கு, அதே மெட்டா இருந்தாலும் வந்து துரு பிடிச்சி காலியா இருக்கும், இல்லை உடஞ்சு போயிருக்கும், வாயா ரப்பரா இருக்குன்னு கேட்பாங்க அம்மா. பேசினே இருப்பேன் நான் பாட்டுக்கு. If I have to talk. Other side, if I have to listen, I let the person talk even for hours together, but I will listen quietly, patiently, and then come back with only a few lines. I can do both. And to do business, you should be able to do both. You need to be the opposite of your customer to make a sale. Anything else? If not, over to Arun, sir. So there are two types of mentorship. First, there is free, then there is paid. So in free mentorship, people give you gyan because they want to make money from a later point. For example, if you go to a business coach, they'll say, come on, start the business. You can do this, you can do that. Because after start a business, you can't go back. You'll go back to asking for idea. And the time he'll say, give me 30,000 for digital marketing. Give me 20,000 for helping you with sales. That is one kind. Second type, a lot of people who provide guidance before you start a business, they charge some paid sessions, like it might run even to 5,000 per session. But these are people who will actually sit with you, give their time, listen to your business, tell you what is right, what is wrong, talk to you as a person, understand what your strengths and weaknesses are. Again, if you're having shortcomings, they will tell you this might not suit you, build a team and come back. So these are people who will genuinely tell you on your face what is right, what is wrong. Do not always go with the mindset of free. There is nothing called free in this world. If anybody is going to give you anything for free, something big is waiting for you on the behind. Never go for free. If they're paying you or asking you for money upfront, say 5,000 or 10,000, you can trust them because they are clear what they're giving you and what they're offering you. So people who are charging you upfront are actually honest and you can trust them and get things done with them. So always go for paid mentoring sessions. Don't take yarn. No, you need something personal one-to-one kind of a session before you start something. Always choose the right people. So again, that if you need help, drop me a mail. I'll put you on the right person. So start going to a lot of networks and associations. Like I was part of BNI. I've been BNI for almost 5 years. So I would say that there are people who are almost having 25, 30 years of experience in their own core field, and that is almost my age. So when you have people with such huge experience in the same community, you get to learn from them. See, none of us are given a business 101. Even if you do an MBA, it's not a practical thing. It's just still on theory, concepts, strategies. But you never really gone to the customer and spoken to him in that particular strategy. You don't have the life experience. So when you are part of a forum or a network, you get to understand things firsthand. Be practical. And only then you can get things done. And more importantly, if you want to do a business, you need to be talking non-stop. So my mom tells me, டே நல்ல வாழ்டா வாயை வந்து இட்ஸ் ஸ்கின் தோலா இருக்கு, அதே மெட்டா இருந்தாலும் வந்து துரு பிடிச்சி காலியா இருக்கும், இல்லை உடஞ்சு போயிருக்கும், வாயா ரப்பரா இருக்குன்னு கேட்பாங்க அம்மா. பேசினே இருப்பேன் நான் பாட்டுக்கு. இஃப் ஐ ஹாவ் டு டாக். Other side, if I have to listen, I let the person talk even for hours together, but I will listen quietly, patiently, and then come back with only a few lines. I can do both. And to do business, you should be able to do both. You need to be the opposite of your customer to make a sale. Anything else? If not, over to Arun, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Uday. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. I hope it was useful and interesting.
Yes, you kept it very simple, but lot of practical, I think, experience what you have shared in today's presentation. That is what I understand. Rather than conceptual, I think the presentation was more of practical relevance. I think that will be
very true, sir. Thank you.
There will be good takeaways for the attendees today. Over to Mr. Navanathan.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you once again. Over to Mr. Navanathan for closing remarks.
So, good afternoon all. Myself Shweta. On behalf of the Department of Instrumentation and Control Engineering, I take immense pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks in today's webinar. First of all, I thank the management, trustee, principal and head of the department for encouraging us to conduct such useful webinars for our students. And wholeheartedly, I thank Mr. Uday Shankar for readily accepting our invite to address our students, and he has delivered an excellent talk on entrepreneurship. It was indeed an interesting and an interactive session, and our students have definitely got benefited out of it. And I also appreciate our students for being attentive throughout the session. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Uday Shankar, for joining us today.